Jesus.
Welcome everybody to Two Guys and a Mic. This might be the happiest show you will ever see occur as we're streaming this thing. Now, we might get some bigger wins later, but for right now, I don't know that there's been a bigger win in Cleveland Browns history. So we are ecstatic.
Well, at least we gotta quantify that, at least in our lifetime.
And there you go.
You know what I'm saying? In our lifetime,
we've won championships before, and I know people don't know that, or people are confused about what that means and stuff like that. So we've won championships in the past, but I'm only 46, and Sean is only 46. So here we are going into our 47th year of life, and this could easily be the biggest win that either of us have seen. And if it wasn't the biggest win, it's the biggest win we've seen in a long damn time. And it feels like it could be the best win that has ever existed in history.
It really is, just because of all the background, the history, everything that comes with it, the circumstances coming into the game. On top of that, with all the odds stacked against us.
Right.
Literally all the odds stacked against us. Losing, right. Playing with 2.5 offensive linemen and still losing them during the game and still figuring out a way to pull it out, man.
That's
so
right.
we are ecstatic right now. We really don't know what to do with ourselves. I'm still kind of in shock.
I'm all over the place, man.
I can't express myself the way I want to because everybody in my household is asleep right now. And if I really let loose, I will wake everybody up and they'll probably kick me out and I'll be somewhere in the street come later on this evening. So that's why
hold up.
I'm kind of subdued.
This is how off base we are. Let me introduce myself. I'm RP, Ron Pierce. I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm your other host, Big Sean. This is a victory Sunday, man. We just knocked off
victory.
The damn still. Finally, the damn still has been our nemesis. Man, look, I can't even get my words.
Not only did we beat these some bitches, this is like 2 or 3 fold. Not only did we beat these some bitches, we beat these some bitches. We beat them undermanned. We beat them in the playoffs. So y'all get to go home.
And we beat y'all with no coach.
And we ended y'all season, man.
Exactly.
We ended y'all season. Y'all done. And when y'all got to go back and look at the books, guess who sent y'all home?
Exactly. And the last two, and to give y'all some background on the history, the last 2 times we made the playoffs, Pittsburgh put us out the following round.
Yep.
The last time being in 2002, we had a huge lead in the 4th quarter or in the 3rd quarter and blew it, which is one of the most disgusting. That game made me so sick to my stomach.
Dennis Northcutt, who actually had a decent game that night.
Yeah, dropped that 3rd down pass, which gave
them life. That 3rd down pass, and then Tommy Maddox went down.
And really, and since that game, Ron, it's been downhill. We've had, since that loss in 2002, the Browns have had, 15 out of 17 losing seasons.
Yep.
Since then.
Yep.
That's crazy. And the main corporate has been that dude sitting right behind RP right there, Ben Roethlisberger. Yep. He's been the thorn in our side.
Yep.
For seems like forever.
Consider this: 2 losses to these guys every year in our division. You know what that means. 2 losses in our division pretty much puts you in 3rd place. That equals you being in 3rd place if you got 2 losses to one team. Because you're probably going to lose to the other team, at least one of those other teams once, right?
Right.
And the fact that I can even rattle that off and Sean don't even have to think about what I'm talking about, that's how impactful the AFC North generally is on a regular basis. So let me break it down a little bit more for those of you who might be, just a bit behind on what I'm saying. So as say a Browns or say the hell, you can name any team in this conference, or excuse me, in this division. If the Steelers lose to the Ravens twice, the Steelers feel like in their own mind, oh well, we might beat the Browns and the Bengals twice, so that'll cover us, and we'll go 4-2. That's how they feel. Now imagine they lose those 2 games and then lose a game to us. And they're in their mind, they're like, this is bullshit. Now they know they got to win every other game to get a better record than us.
Right.
Same thing with the Ravens. Same thing with the Browns. The Browns are like, yo, if we could split with those 2 guys, if we could split with the Ravens and who are the 2 better teams in our division, let's just be honest. If we could split with the Steelers and we could split with the Ravens, we could probably beat the Bengals twice. And that changes our fortunes, and that changes what our playoff outlook is. The problem has been we haven't been able to do that. We haven't been able to beat the Ravens. And if we did beat the Ravens once, we damn sure ain't been able to beat the Steelers once.
Yeah.
And then we always screw up this one dumbass game, even though we're better than the Bengals. We always screw up that one dumbass game against them. And that keeps us out of the playoffs a lot of times. And the AFC North is traditionally known for fielding teams that are capable of winning the Super Bowl.
So and we always have at least 2 teams out of our division go to the playoffs. Even the years when Andy Dalton and the Bengals were a little bit good, it either be the Bengals and the Ravens go, or the Bengals and the Steelers go. There's always 2 teams.
It's always 2 teams.
And this year we had 3 teams go.
And we've also seen the Ravens and the Steelers play each other, like in the AFC Championship games or in the divisional round. Like we've seen that multiple years since 2000. Like these are teams that have proven that they can win, not just win games, but they can win playoff games and go deep in the playoffs, which is why it matters to us as Browns fans to beat these guys and compete in the division so that we can get to that point.
Where I tell you what, man, if it wasn't for COVID right now, the bars and stuff downtown would be packed. People would be in the streets. Even though it's a playoff game, people would act like we damn near won the Super Bowl out there.
It'd be so crazy downtown right now. My wife said, it's a damn shame that the Browns is about to win this game and can't nobody burn downtown up.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, well, we still got a lot of more games. We got a lot of more games to sound like a Clubber Lang. We got a lot of more. We ain't even close. But this is one of the best feelings and the best situations that we've been a part of for a long time.
Oh, yeah, man. Because I mean, like I said on last week's show, I'm sick of them. I'm sick of the city of Pittsburgh. I'm sick of the team. I'm sick of their fans. I'm sick of all of it. And I couldn't take it no more.
For sure.
I just couldn't take it no more. And I had a good feeling coming into the game. When I really sat down and thought about everything, I said, Big Ben probably is not going to play that much better than what Mason Rudolph did. Because of his age, he's beat up a little bit.
You said that last week. You said that last week.
I said, okay, we survived that. So I'm like, as long as we don't have, COVID ravaging the team again, and we're losing key players, like the defense, I didn't care about. We're losing guys on defense. Like I said before, that defense is going to be bad no matter who you put out there right now on the roster. Long as our offense is intact, we got Chubb, Hunt, Baker, the offensive line, and our receiver. I was like, we are good to go. And I felt good. And you see the outcome. We punched them in the mouth early, capitalized on the mistakes. That was key. Every time Pittsburgh made a mistake, we capitalized on it, scored a touchdown, punched them in the mouth.
And that's something that I said in our last week was the defense has to be smart. We can't do those double move bites. We have to be disciplined, and we got to be opportunistic.
Yep.
And they did both, actually, especially early. There were points later in the game where they kind of broke down. But, again, we're talking about a team that's not that good. They're not that good. And our corners I mean, we're talking about guys that probably wouldn't start nowhere in the NFL.
Right. And I think Joe Woods, I hate the scheme. And I think Joe Woods was his philosophy was let them move the ball. And I think he was trying to run out the clock, keep everything underneath, and just that we got to just weather the storm.
He did.
And
but
the thing I was most impressed with. Yeah, the thing I was most impressed with is that when stuff started looking bad and Pittsburgh's making a run, the personality of the team is not to panic. And Baker, and that's not, I don't want to hear anybody else talk about Baker Mayfield not being a man. Because in that fourth quarter, he led 3 scoring drives when we needed it. Made clutch third quarter throws. Everybody's saying Baker can't pass from the pocket. Pittsburgh was taking away the play action bootlegs, and he stood in the pocket in those blitzes, and he was making throws. Man. What's that?
I said we had to have everything Baker gave us.
Exactly. And he showed leadership, and him, the Jarvis, Chubb, the guys that are the offensive leaders on that team. And when they had to make plays, they made plays down the stretch to put that game away. And that's the thing I was most impressed with during the game.
And we're gonna actually discuss the game a little bit more. We're not just gonna roundly talk about the game. We'll get a little more detailed in a second, but you got to give us a moment to just
because we're a mess. I'm an emotional wreck right now.
We could have started the show probably 20, 30, maybe possibly even 40 minutes ago. But there was no way that I could because I didn't know. I couldn't sit down. My kids were like, they came downstairs. I was upstairs on my first floor watching the game on the big screen on the 60-inch. So they're like they heard me screaming because they're getting ready to go to bed. But they heard me screaming because now we up 14-0. My son, my 10-year-old son comes downstairs. He goes, "Daddy, Mommy just told me that the Browns are in the playoffs." I said, "Yeah, the Browns in the playoffs." He was like, "I should probably watch this, huh?" And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, you got about 30 minutes before you need to go to bed, son. You know what? You're absolutely right. You need to witness this." Because we talk about this often, Sean, that the younger generation, they don't understand what you and I had. You and I saw the Browns in the playoffs all the time. The expectation, we were more pissed off when they didn't make it. Or those times when they did lose in the wild card or whatever. We were like, man, why the hell they lose to these guys?
Right.
This generation. And I've had, and trust me, I got people that say, "Hey, man, I got my son who's a junior in high school who never saw the Browns in the playoffs." You haven't. Because it's been 18 years. So they never saw it before today. So I did what a lot of good, sound fathers do. Introduce, and my son has been introduced to it. But basically, indoctrinate him into this foolery that is being a Cleveland fan. And he just sat there and he just watched. And he's like, "Daddy, it looked like they about to score again." "They about to score again, son." And boom, it was some of the best interactions in terms of being a Browns fan anyway that I've ever had with my son. It was so awesome, bro. Which is why I keep telling people, you guys don't understand what this means to Browns fans. This ain't just some, "Oh, we love the Browns." Nah, man, this is a culture for us. This is real culture, which is why Two Guys and a Mic is what Two Guys and a Mic is. It's a culture, and there's only a few of us that get this culture. The reason that I let my son sit up for the last 30 minutes of him being up is because I'm like, you know what he gonna say if I pass away? I remember watching my first playoff game with my daddy.
Right.
I gotta love the Browns after this. I got to. I watched him move around the damn living room. He wasn't even listen. I wasn't even sitting down. I was moving around like, yeah, Browns,
Right.
just going berserk. And in his mind, it looks crazy. But guess what he's gonna do in 15 years when he's a grown up? He gonna look at people like, yo, you don't love the Browns? And in his mind, back in the corner of his mind, he gonna be like, you don't love the Browns, you don't love my daddy. Like that's how this all plays out. I'm a Browns fan because of my grandmother. My grandma, I'm an Ohio State fan because of my grandmother. I'm a Cavs fan because of my grandmother. Even when I didn't like the Cavs, I still like the Cavs because of my grandmother. So it's always that person that you love that introduces you to those things. So this was an opportunity for me to introduce my son to something that he had never seen. Yeah, he's seen me. Actually, he's seen me more be frustrated with the Browns than he's seen me be
Right.
happy.
And be happy. Right. That's all it's been is frustration.
Right. He's 10 years old.
Right.
So of course he ain't seen nothing but frustration in the last 10 years. So I gotta let him sit and be a part of this good movement. So
Yeah.
having said all of that, first of all, before we get into the rest of the itemized part of the show, bro, I don't know if you got a drink, man, but we gotta have a goddamn drink.
Yeah. I got a brew.
We gotta have a victory toast to my Cleveland
First playoff win to the Cleveland
my
Browns,
freaking
the whole
Cleveland.
organization.
The
First
last
playoff
time we
win
had a
since
playoff
1994.
win, I was in Anchorage, Alaska, bro. I was in Anchorage, Alaska. I was supposed to go to the game because my cousin had tickets to the game, but I couldn't get home until the next day. I didn't get home till that Monday. We were playing the Patriots, I believe. That was in
Yeah,
'96.
I actually went to the game. So shout out to one of my other childhood friends, Chris Gleros, in Cleveland Heights, that had the tickets.
For sure.
And he invited me. It was me, I think my boy Desmond and his father, man, and other boy Jason Kuntz at the time. We all went down there. So I can say, before today that I did see the last Browns playoff victory. At least I get to see the last home playoff victory.
Right.
Believe it or not, America, at the time of that victory, Bill Belichick was our coach, and Vinny Testaverde, of all people,
Vinny
was our quarterback. So imagine it's been that's
Andre Rison was our
26.
number one receiver too, by the way.
No, Rison wasn't there yet. Rison
He
comes
he
next
came
year.
next year. Oh, that's right.
It was Mark Carrier and Michael Jackson.
Right, Mark Carrier. I forgot about Mark Carrier.
And Michael Jackson and
Mike
Leroy
Jackson.
Ward.
I remember Mike Jackson and them.
Ernest Biner was on that team too.
Yeah, he came
back and wore number 20. Yeah, he came back. So shout out to the Browns. Here's a toast.
Shout out to the Browns. Victory Sunday. Playoff victory Sunday.
That sounds good. And man, when I saw them come out today with that beautiful orange and white on, I was like, man, we looking gorgeous out here.
When they came out, as my dad would say, when they came out with them orange pantses, it changed how I was thinking. Like in my mind, I'm like, I'm like literally all day long. I told my wife this, and my wife actually, shout out to my wife, Sam. I appreciate you and love you so much. She literally left me alone because I told her the Browns don't play till later in the day, and it's driving me nuts. This was on Friday. I said that on Friday.
Right.
I said that on Friday. I didn't say that on today. I said it on Friday. The thought of waiting all day to watch this dumbass game was driving me nuts. I told her that on Friday. And you know what she did today? She left me the hell alone. She just got off the way. She just let me have, like the TV. She wasn't like tripping and asking me crazy shit because she understood he's going through some stuff that we don't know. Just because the game ain't on. Like I literally was like all day. I'm like looking for stuff to do and looking for things to try to occupy my time. I ended up falling asleep. Now, the day before, Saturday, I watched every game. I watched every play of every game. today, because of my anxiety, I watched most of the first. I mean, I probably
too.
watched about 75% of the first game. The second game, I was in and out only because I was like, I'm getting anxious. I just started getting too anxious and I couldn't watch any football.
And it's rough watching the Bears offense anyway.
And the Bears, and listen, that
you
game
the
was
Bears
7-0 for that game was 7-0 for 62 quarters.
Exactly.
It was driving me nuts. And then finally, the Saints were able to kind of break through a little bit. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. And I did. I took a nap. I literally took a nap because I just couldn't do it. And I woke up like 27 minutes before the game. I woke up and I was like, I thought I had overslept, and I turned and they were just starting the pregame stuff. And I was like, oh,
circumstance.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. Like, this is perfect. And it perked me up. I was good.
Right.
So this is how incredible, the Browns, people don't understand the Browns' power over people. This is real talk. This ain't fake. I'm not faking this. We've been doing this for over 30 years of our lives,
40.
allowing it to ruin us. We go to church back in the day, and we can't even enjoy church because in our mind, we like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, as soon as 1 o'clock hit, I was sneaking out of church to go and sit in the car and listen. I used to get my mother's car keys or my father's car keys. I was like, what you need? I left some in the car and I'm out there listening to the radio at kickoff. Because, for those of you who don't know, you go to a Black Baptist church, you ain't getting out. If you get out at 1:30, that's early.
If you get out, look, and that's only early for the Black church. That ain't early for the game because now we almost in the second quarter.
Yeah,
so you're gonna miss some things that you didn't get a chance to be a part of. And when you're real fans like Sean and I, that could be a problem for us.
And I was supposed to go watch the game with some family, and I said, no, I'm gonna sit at home. I need to be in silence
because you don't want to be distracted by what everybody else is doing.
I love my family, and it's fun watching the game with them. But I didn't want any negativity. I didn't want to hear, you know what I'm saying? Because you know how we are when we get together. You critique every throw. Everybody get all the emotion, the ups and downs. So, I needed to sit here and watch the game, kind of by myself in silence. And I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just sat there and just watched the game. And the more we scored, the more my anxiety went up. For some reason, you would think it'd make you laugh.
Absolutely right. I went
berserk. The more we went up, the more my anxiety was kicking in.
I went berserk. I ain't gonna lie. I went berserk after the first touchdown. I went berserk after the first interception. I went berserk after the first sack, after the first straight out. Everything we did, I went berserk, and I was like pumped. And then it started getting to the point where you started looking. Like I was telling my cousin, I'm like, it's still early, bro. It's still really like 9 minutes left in the
first quarter. And it's like 21-0. It's crazy.
I said, so at this point, and this is what I told my cousin. I said, at this point, we scored 21 in the first half. It's gonna be 84-0. What game have you ever seen that was 84-0?
Never.
It doesn't happen.
Nope.
It never happens that way. So we gotta just relax. I told him, put your phone down, cuz. Don't get on Facebook. Don't call nobody.
And that's what I did. You see me.
Listen, I didn't
text you. I didn't text you the whole game. It was a matter of fact.
Listen, I didn't text you. Only thing I did, and Sean got on me about this.
Yeah. I sure did. I was like, I can't believe this fool. I was like, I can't believe he's doing this right now. And like, he gonna jinx the whole thing. Like, this whole thing gonna come crumbling down because he decided he want to get cute and go on Facebook and IG Live in the middle of the game. I'm like, what are you doing? As soon as I saw it popped up, two guys, our mic was going live. I'm like, bro, like, you killing me right now.
Listen, he was so mad. He said, it was like, man, you are killing me right now. But it wasn't like I was going live talking crazy. I
You weren't.
legit was on live telling people, hey man, here's what I need y'all to do. Because I watched other people's Facebook. I watched other people's comments. So I'm like, no, y'all don't understand. This is a long play. Y'all gotta stand down. It looks good. I like it. But y'all need to chill out. Everybody, relax. We still got a lot of football to play. Let's just let this thing play out. I was legitimately going on, and I'll say it is true. Again, I gotta give a shout out to the wife. Because she says to me, why y'all don't do a live like during the game? So in my mind, I was thinking like go live, like do the show during the game. Nah, because we wouldn't do a good show because we'd be so scattered. She says, no, you should just go live like during the game and just talk about certain parts of the game. It's only gonna be, you only have to do this shit for like 3 minutes. So I was like, oh, okay. So of course we make the playoffs the next week. So, so I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll go live. And she goes, yeah, you should go live right now. Like, y'all ahead. So the Browns are ahead so far. You should probably just do like a real quick live. Oh, and if anybody don't know, shout out to Renegade Soul. That's the wife. So I'm like, all right, I think today is a good day to do that because we're ahead. And this could be an opportunity for me to like look people in the face and say, don't get too excited and stop texting your Steeler friends, telling them or Facebooking your Steeler friends.
I haven't texted or called or done anything to my Steeler fans yet. I wanted to set in, I wanted to burn.
Listen, I had nothing. So there were a couple guys that know that I'm a Browns fan, and I knew that they were Steelers fans, other than Mark, I mean. And they kind of text me or we talked on Facebook. And I, you know what, they understood because they said one of the things that they knew about me, as much as I hate the Steelers, I've always been respectful. So they were like super respectful. They weren't like being the jerks that said, we still got 6 Super Bowls, but you still lost today. Who cares about the 6 Super Bowls tonight? You lost tonight. You're not going to get 7 Super Bowls. You know why? Because we whooped y'all ass.
Right, we whooped y'all ass and y'all going to be at home.
That's,
exactly.
Like these guys, the guys that I've talked to, they understood that like, damn, dog, that sucks. But you guys, y'all whooped our ass. So that's all good, man.
Right. Now, one thing, one thing I did think about doing, and actually Corey had brought this up, and I didn't bring it up to you because I didn't think it would necessarily work because of how we want to do our platform. He was like, after Browns win, he said this about 2 weeks ago. He was like, y'all should just go live. And I thought about that today. I was like, we could, do our show, IG Live or whatnot. But what I didn't know is can we still record it and upload that to the different, streaming platforms that we use. That's the only reason why I didn't bring it up because I didn't think that they had that capability.
Well, going live after the game, here's my only take against that. I'm not against it because the thing is when you go live, you do at least get some interaction from
right. Yeah, right. You get interaction with
instant interaction. Again, the problem is, uploading it to the YouTube and then to the audio part of what we do. So there's a little bit of a difficulty. We could probably figure it out.
Now maybe what we can do is one of us just play around with live outside of the show.
Yeah.
And see if we're able to, upload it or something like that.
Well,
and
that's
maybe
what I was kind of trying to do today. Just like play around outside of it, that where it didn't affect the whole show. And then go from there. So all right, folks, let's get a little more structured here. And we just talking now. And I think a part of that is because we're so giddy. And so, hey, listen, there's no better shot on earth than this guy sitting behind me crying like a little bitch.
I posted it on Facebook, seeing him had that look on his face like Debo and snatched his chain. And he had that little tear coming down his eye. I was like,
He waiting on his daddy to come pick him up so he can go
I
get
was
his
like
bike.
the nerve of him to be sitting over there crying, like all the misery that man has caused me in my life, and you got the nerve to be sitting over there crying because we finally beat y'all.
That's why
Come on, get out of here.
I pulled one of my best cigars out of my humidor, my Liga Privada. It's one of the best cigars you ever gonna smoke in your life. This is why I pulled this out. Because of that dude right there. That look, that face, this situation, the Browns winning, the Browns being on top of this
And tomorrow, see, and I'm about to be petty all week. I'm
I'm
listening to Pittsburgh sports radio in the morning just so I can hear them lose their damn minds, and it's because we did it.
Oh, they gonna want to fire.
Oh yeah.
Because you know what I heard? You know what I heard all day? You know what I heard all weekend? And Sean heard it too. The reason that the Browns are going to lose is because they don't have a head coach. And when you have Mike Tomlin, that's an automatic win when you don't have another head coach, qualified head coach on the other side. We've heard that all weekend. So they lost today. So now Steeler Nation is going to be looking to blame somebody. Is it Ben? Is it Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a piece of shit? They should just shut the fuck up at times and stop fucking talking.
Because let's go ahead and get into that, man. Let's go ahead and get into the nuts and bolts of the game, man.
So let's get into the nuts. So let's start in the first quarter. So let's start before.
Well, really, we got to go back just a little bit before then.
That's why I said let's start before the game started. Let's start before the game started.
Let's talk about COVID-19 pretty much tearing the asshole out of our whole team.
COVID has been a son of a bitch for us for the last month. And that's not to say that it hasn't been a son of a bitch for other teams. I'm not in any way, shape, or form attempting to say that we're worse off or that other teams haven't been affected by it, because I know that other teams have. Denver was kind of decimated by it.
Screw Denver.
So has the Ravens. So has, everybody has
had them too.
A tough time.
Right.
No. Listen, the reason I'm not ignoring you, bro. I hear you.
I know. I got it.
I don't care. But they don't care about us having an issue with it either.
Exactly.
So that's fair. That's fair. So, but nobody has lost their head coach because of it. Nobody has lost their offensive line coach because of it.
Lost what, 5 coaches?
And the offensive line assistant. So you don't even have all of your guys that could keep your guys together. Baker Mayfield said, man, I got introduced to a dude today that I hadn't seen, and he ended up having to play.
Yep.
So,
as a matter of fact, we lost our Pro Bowl All-Pro left tackle.
Left tackle. So you had to have Kendall Lamb had to come in and play for him.
As a matter of fact, that Joe Bitonio, the left tackle in question, has been here the longest out of anybody else on the roster. So he was waiting to go to the playoffs. And now because of COVID, he couldn't play today. So that takes an emotional toll on your team. Now, on top of that, the facility has been closed because we kept having positive cases.
We didn't even practice.
We had one practice. We had one practice in the last 2.
One practice. Went to Pittsburgh, and then had like a walkthrough. That was it.
And they had to travel separately. So they had to fly 2 separate planes.
They traveled 3 kind of separates. So you had the coaches on the bus, certain players on one plane.
Yep.
Certain other players on another plane. So you couldn't, there was no unity, there's nothing. And Kevin Stefanski, again, here's what we talked about last week when we discussed Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, I don't always like all the stuff that he calls, but I've understood how he's pulled this team together. We both have, and we've talked about it. He's pulled this team together, and he's made sure that this team was on one accord. And I think that's the fact that he wasn't there today shows you everything that we talked about, because the coaching staff is an entire staff. It's a team. So missing this dude sucks, but it's still the same message from top to bottom. Didn't we just talk about that on the other day? When you're the coach and when you're the manager, you got to have the same talk from top to bottom. And when you see me, and you don't normally see me, but I say the same thing that your position coach says, now you like, oh, this is what we all about. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're seeing. And these are the things that are happening.
Right. And then on top of that, Juju TikTok, dancing son of a bitch Smith Schuster, opens his mouth and saying it's the same old Browns, there's no rivalry. All he sees is nameless, gray faces. I mean, he really just talking grimy. I mean, he going all the way in. The Browns is just the Browns and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? You don't say that type of stuff. Just a blatant disrespect like that before the game.
Look, so and a team as well coached and as well led as the Steelers are. That's one of the reasons why Antonio Brown ain't on the Steelers right now. Because that ain't how they get down. You could talk shit. Like you could be Joey Porter and talk shit on the field and try to fight people on the field and all that stuff. But Joey Porter, I'll tell you what Joey Porter ain't doing. Talking loud during the week leading up to the game. Joey Porter, I mean, listen, Joey Porter always had something to say, but he was never talking outside of what the team needed.
Right.
It's a focus. Juju is a problem. And I'm gonna say that. He's a talent, but he's a problem. You gotta rein that dude in. Just the same thing I would say about anybody on the
and the players during the week, they were trying to walk back that statement, but you can't walk that back.
No,
he meant exactly what he said. He said way too much.
I went in. I didn't even go crazy about what he said until I saw exactly what he said. I was like, nope, I'm not going crazy until I see exactly what this dude said. And once I saw exactly what he said, I was like, wow, okay. He ain't learned nothing from that whole don't dance on people's
logos
and stuff like that. You need to shut the fuck up, bro. Excuse my language, but man, you need to shut up.
But I'm glad you said it. Now, not saying that you should have to have something like that to motivate your team, but it doesn't hurt to add a little extra fuel.
It never hurt, bro. It never hurt.
So pour a little bit more lighter fluid on the fire. So
imagine Juju Smith-Schuster feeling like F the Browns and they the same dude. Browns is the Browns. All that, angle that he took. And the very first snap of the game, the two most congruent cats probably in the NFL, Marcus Pouncey and Roethlisberger. And what I mean by most congruent, these dudes have took more snaps than most people have ever played in NFL. They just completely and totally miscued on the snap. We end up with a touchdown off of it. That changes everything. Yeah, we only up 7, and they can, they could probably go down and score 14 real quick. They could happen. But when that happened, you know what I said? Oh, this game about to be different.
Yeah, definitely.
I said this game about to be different because they thought they was about to go down and go up 7, and now we up 7. Then on the next drive, Ben throws an awful, not even like this dude just read it and picked. Man, he threw an awful interception.
And we said he was going to do that too. We said he was going to turn the ball over.
Didn't I say that?
He's a turnover machine. That's why we were saying you got to capitalize, and we did.
That's exactly where I was getting ready to go, because it was about capitalization. You have to be able to pick those balls off when they float up and stuff like that. You got to make that catch. You got to be in those spots when it come off that dude's hands and it's right in your pocket. You got to pick that thing off the Browns were capable of doing that, and it just set us up for other stuff. And then what did we see? They had all their new guys in there. Casey Hampton, who actually is Cam Jordan. I said Casey Hampton last week for those folks who don't understand where this joke. That was a joke. All these guys were in there. TJ Watt was in there.
Stephon Tuitt was in there.
Hey, Steph Tuitt was in there. And as soon as they handed this thing off to my man, he ripped off 27 yards. Ripped off. He didn't get touched until the 25th yard. Like went straight through, like boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, he down the field. Then they handed it off to him again, and guess what? He did the exact same thing again. My problem with the play calling is, again, we went away from the run early, not late. We went away from the run early. Just keep running the ball and keep allowing the run to set up the pass.
I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem with the play calling today. Because I thought that,
didn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Because the way Pittsburgh plays defense,
but I didn't walk away from this game like, what were they doing? I never did.
Because they had to pass just to loosen them up. Because the way Pittsburgh was being aggressive.
You got to keep them
because Chubb had a lot of zero game, runs.
And of course they did, because they started running heavy, and then, like I said, if you recall when I said what I said on my Facebook page, I noticed that they're running a certain kind of way away from TJ Watt, and TJ is just running down the line. He understands
right.
Going to run. So if he's going to run down the line, the bootleg is open, and if he's going to run down the line, so is the screen. And literally, as I said that, what happened?
The touchdown. That was one of the drives in the fourth quarter to stave off, because Pittsburgh was making that run, and they was on fire, making that comeback, and that pretty much squashed it right there. That pretty much sealed the game. And that's what you do against an overly aggressive defense. Need to do that more.
You have to
do that. We don't do it enough.
Chubb and Hunt in space are, they're actually equivalent to what's my man name in Baltimore? What's their quarterback name? Friggin', they're the same. Because when they're in space, you don't, especially if you like one dude trying to tackle.
Oh yeah,
it's one dude in space.
And what we did do more of, we did use them in the flat a lot on some big plays.
And
keep drives going. So
there was a couple plays where we did it in the flat, and he went to the tight end. And I'm gonna say something real quick, because Hooper has been dropping a lot of passes lately. There was a couple plays where he went to Hooper, but he had Hunt, and had he hit Hunt, or had he hit a couple, 2-3 times, he could have hit.
Hooper had a weird game, because Hooper dropped a lot of passes, but he damn sure had some big catches.
He has some big catches
in that fourth quarter. And he had a touchdown catch. So, but he had, as a matter of fact, really in the first quarter, we had a lot of drops, man. Higgins had dropped a couple.
Oh, Higgins had a bunch of drops today. I don't know what.
Yeah, Hooper had dropped.
I don't know what Higgins was doing today, man. Higgins was dropping a bunch of balls. I was a little bit pissed off at Higgins. You can't have a name Hollywood if you're gonna be a ball dropper, dog.
And that's not normally his MO, man. I ain't gonna.
It's not.
That's normally not his MO.
I'm not. I listen, and I think sometimes people think that I be coming, and I've said that before. And I think people. I put up a picture today, and people were like, "No, man, the Browns fine. Y'all missing where I'm coming from with the picture, bro. What I'm saying is, man, we can't have no fear.
No, sure can't. And we
But the
did.
old school Browns didn't have no fear. We went into games, and Sean will tell you this. There was never a game that we thought the Browns should have lost back in the day.
No, it wasn't.
We thought to ourselves, if Hanford is there, if Barney is there, if Kevin Mack is there, if Biner is there, if Slaughter, oh, well, we win in that game.
The only team I feared, and I'm gonna be completely honest, was Denver.
That's
I
it.
hated going in the Mile High Stadium back then. I couldn't.
I hated it too.
It was so hard to win in that place, and John Elway was just like Big Ben in a sense. You know, he wasn't in our division or anything like that, but he's just somebody that we could never get over the hump. Here's something else too, Ron, to think about. Out of all the nemesis that we've had in Cleveland sports, from Michael Jordan to John Elway, trying to think who else in baseball. Who was the Indians' nemesis in baseball? Somebody that we like, maybe some of the Yankees.
Martinez, from Boston.
Pedro.
Pedro, yeah.
Yeah.
Pedro. Remember when Pedro came out the bullpen and beat us?
Man, with throwing the ball 75 miles an hour. I don't even want to go there. Like David Wells, like those guys. Man. But we never was able to get revenge on those guys. Those guys either just went, kind of retired or whatever. This is the first time that we can say that we got revenge on one of our nemesis.
We never got revenge on Michael Jordan for all those times.
No, we never.
That he beat the Cavs. We just had to hope that he just went away, and he did. Thankfully. But you're right. When has that happened, especially on the football field?
And this is why this game was so important, because we hadn't beaten Big Ben anything meaningful. Now we can say we actually got over that hump and exercised that demon, because we beat him in his home stadium. Yeah. They were the favorites.
It
was him. Right.
It wasn't Mason Rudolph. It was him.
It was him.
We beat him. He threw 4 interceptions. Wasn't Mason Rudolph.
Should have thrown 6. They could have held on to the damn ball.
He should have thrown 6. Yep. You're right.
So for those for our 2 listeners outside of Cleveland, that's why this was such a big deal to us, because that man has made some of the biggest comebacks. We thought we had him beat. Has pulled some miracle games out his behind and just crushed it.
I've told people this one story more than multiple times in my life, because it was so unbelievable, and people still think it's kind of a tall tale. And Sean knows what I mean when I say a tall tale. We grew up in a different generation, so we've grown up in one of those periods where the audio stuff is way more important than the visual stuff.
Right.
So here's what a tall tale is. Tall tales are, things that people bring to you that are they're fictional in certain senses, but there's things in the fiction that are absolute fact. That's what a tall tale is. Am I correct in that definition?
Yeah, it's like you have a story that's partly true, but it's overly exaggerated.
Yeah.
You have a lot of exaggeration in the story, make it like you pretty much embellish to make whoever the main character is in your story like a superhero or whatever.
So that's kind of like Johnny Appleseed. That's kind of like
Paul Bunyan.
What's his name? Paul Bunyan and Babe and all of that stuff. So you embellish at least a little bit. So everybody thinks when I talk about this one specific game that I'm embellishing. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. It rained, it snowed, it hailed, it sleeted. I had pockets of water in my coat. We were ahead of these sons of bitches 21-7 going into the third quarter. They scored like a fluke touchdown. We scored another touchdown, but Ben didn't have a great game going into the fourth quarter. Ben had thrown for maybe 122 yards. This piece of shit commits to throwing for 227 yards and 2 touchdowns
Like just in the fourth quarter.
in the fourth quarter,
It was crazy.
and scored a touchdown coming towards the end zone I was sitting in. I'm like, and I'm with Stover, by the way. I'm in the end zone, and I invited him. I brought him. I paid for the ticket. So I'm pissed. I don't get nothing out of this. I get to ride home with this piece of shit
Right.
after, because he kept saying the whole time. He's like, oh, well, I mean, it's still early. You got to let Ben be Ben. Man, fuck Ben. Fuck him. Nope, got to let Ben be Ben. And I mean to tell you, this son of a bitch was incredible in the fourth quarter. I've never said this. This has been probably about 10 years now. But I never let this out. That dude was incredible in the fucking fourth quarter. Incredible, bro.
Remember that game, and they got help from the refs with these made up rules they was making up as the game went on.
Are you kidding me? The referees were awful in that game, and so I'm with you. The referees.
This fool had the nerve. He's a dude on my Facebook page had the nerve to say that because the Browns are like so-called America's team and people kind of rooting for us, everything that's going on, that if the Browns win this game, they're gonna get a lot of help from the refs. And I'm like, dude, I watched the Browns. Right, exactly. I said, dude, I watched the Browns for 41 years.
Do he know the Browns?
Never.
He talking about these Browns?
Right. I said, we've never gotten help from the refs, ever. He was like, man, so you mean to tell me all the times that every single game that you've watched, the Browns had never got help to win a game from the refs? I'm like, no. We've gotten favorable calls during the game, but never a call that helped us win the game at the end. I was like, are you crazy? You're like, no, we never got a call.
Not when it mattered. We didn't get that. Listen, we are the equivalent of the New Orleans Saints. You know how the Saints just get screwed out of games?
Right.
At times. That's us. Listen, the Saints are the NFC version of the Browns. And here's what I mean when I say that. Because there's times when, if I ask Sean right now, hey, did Denver make that field goal during the drive, bro?
No.
Nope. See, it's not this. And we talking about that was in 86, 87. Did they make that? You sure they didn't make that field goal, bro?
The referees knew he didn't make it. The players are running around like he didn't make it. Like one referee didn't put his hands up. He was looking at the other one. The other one was like, "Listen, we got a flight to catch it. It's cold. It's good. Let's go."
Listen,
you know. So
listen,
I'm like he had the gaudy audacity saying that y'all gonna get some help. No, I was like, man, please.
Don't nobody love Cleveland.
Ain't no help. Matter of fact, I don't think how many penalties did they call on Pittsburgh? They only called maybe 3 or 4. It wasn't a whole lot.
It wasn't a lot at all. I barely remember any.
No, it wasn't there were no questions during the game. And that's one thing. This is a straight legit.
As Cleveland fans, we don't waste our time waiting on the referees to make the right calls and all that shit. Because there's times when they should have made better calls.
Hell.
There's times when they just don't.
If you think about it, they made 2 really bad calls today on that 4th and goal or 4th and 1. John Connor didn't get in. He was short. He was short as hell.
Listen.
They didn't even try to review it. It was under 2 minutes.
That dude, when I saw the spot, I said, man, are they kidding me?
Right.
That dude got stopped a yard behind where he ended up. Whole body was back here.
He just kind of rolled over the line.
I just see the ref. I see the ref running up the line. I saw him running up the line. I said, and even and I'll be honest with you, it was another 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 that they actually got close to. But because of the spot, the referee I said, man, that dude didn't put that ball that far. He got close, but he didn't get that damn. He
No.
put it over the line.
And then there's another one in at the end of the half where the clock, the timekeeper in Pittsburgh cheated. It was 10 seconds to go. They ran the whole play, and it ran off 1 second.
They ran off one. Listen, it was so ridiculous because I thought I was tripping. I thought it was me. Like in my mind, I said, damn, they didn't move the clock. And then I heard Al Michaels say, well, that can't be right.
Right.
You know, boom, boom, boom. And they started the whole him and Chris Collinsworth started going in about that stuff. And then they was just talking about, oh, we're just gonna run off 5 seconds. Man, if you don't reset that whole entire play.
Right. And on top of that, Claypool got tackled in bounds. They had nothing. They called him out of it, and they let them get that cheap field goal.
Nah, he was in bounds, man. His body was in bounds. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if the body, which is what Al Michaels kept saying, like, well, if he got tackled in bounds, how does the clock not keep running? But y'all only gonna take off 5 seconds, and they still get to set up for this. Oh my God!
Right. So no, we don't get help.
So
the referees are always against us.
Ain't nobody helping us. And guess what? When we get to Arrowhead next week, it's us against the world.
It sure is.
Because they not giving us no help. They're not
if you thought nobody gave us a chance this game against Pittsburgh, ain't nobody giving us a chance against KC. That line is going to be probably about
11
about 10 to 13.
I was about to say 11 and a half. I think that's a fair line.
Yeah, but between 10 and 13.
Yeah.
It's because of our raggedy ass defense.
Because they're going to, and listen, and let's be honest, our defense isn't that good. And we're dealing with an offense that has multiple plays. Like, they can do a lot. So it's going to be difficult to deal with those guys. But hopefully, prayerfully, we'll have more guys back on the team.
Let's hope that COVID doesn't take any more guys.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I hope we'll have guys back, and I hope everybody will be, healthy enough to be on the field. So, but as we start to look at this game, or as we talk more about the actual game that happened today, there's some things that I know going forward we can't keep doing. This guy, Robert Jackson, number 34, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Sir, you are awful. I mean, you are awful. Like, you're not good. You are not good. Like, not good at all.
He's out of position, too. He's not supposed to even be out there.
No, he shouldn't. Listen. And I can't argue that point. If I could argue that point and say he was awful because he just was an awful cornerback, I would. But we've said that about a bunch of guys on this squad. Guys that had to just play because of injury. Guys that just had to play because of the COVID and stuff like that. There's a bunch of people.
Part of it, like Joe Wood's scheme wasn't all that kosher today either. Let them do just run free. I mean, because Pittsburgh damn near had like 600 yards of total offense today.
They did.
So, but I mean, a lot of that just due to them, being behind, having to throw the ball, and just this philosophy of we're going to let them do that and just run the clock down. Let them waste time.
That was bad. It was only bad. It was only bad because of how the game started.
Right. Hey, but here's what I noticed. You know what I noticed? As bad as the personnel is on defense, when they switched up, because remember, so after Pittsburgh came back a little bit, we kind of got out of that prevent or whatever we was in and kind of went back more aggressive.
Uh-huh.
When we went back to doing that, we was doing all right.
But you've said that for weeks, bro. Here's how that first interception happened? It happened because we actually blitzed.
Right. And I understand you can't do that the whole game. I understand you can't be balls out the whole game. You got to just mix it.
We all understand that. And here's where I'm going with what I'm saying. You said this weeks ago, and you weren't even talking about Big Ben. You were talking about just other quarterbacks in general. We gotta you have to. First of all, just in general, analytically, since we're an analytical team, what quarterback does good against blitzes? Most don't.
No.
So if I'm a 70% quarterback, 70 to 60% quarterback, and then you put a little bit of pressure on me, I'm probably right around about 55%. Even the best guys, 55 to 60%, right?
Yep.
That's any quarterback in the goddamn league. So why aren't you blitzing when it gets to certain points and certain plays?
Yeah, because I tell you what, man. If you don't disrupt KC's timing at all and just let them just run around willy-nilly the way we was letting Pittsburgh run around in that third quarter, it's going to be a long.
Well, I'll tell you something else too. And I gotta give my guy number 94 some love. He really played a great game today. It was crazy how good of a game he played. Like,
who was 94?
He made hold on a second. I'm about to call it out right now because I'm looking him up. Oh shoot. Hold on.
Oh, you talking about Adrian Claiborne?
Adrian Claiborne,
the defensive lineman. Yeah.
Thank you. Adrian Claiborne played one of the best games I've seen guys play in a backup role. Nope, he didn't get any tackles. Nope, he didn't get any sacks. But he had so much back end pressure on Ben that, again, you gotta have that kind of pressure. Not just on Ben. You gotta have that on, going forward against KC too. You can't allow this dude to just, throw wherever, however, and fill his own little spots. Patrick Mahomes is a former MVP. Could have won MVP last year. Might win the MVP this year. You have to, and we'll talk more about this in the middle of the week about this game. I don't want to get too deep into that.
Yeah.
But
it'll be a lot to unpack when we do our
you have to
of that game, our pregame analysis.
These guys played a really good game today against Ben, but now you got a different kind of issue in front of you. So what they did really well against Ben today, I don't know if that'll work all the time against, Pat, but definitely you have to think about, I feel like Joe Woods knows his team and the team's capabilities. I remember earlier in the year you gave me grief because I gave Joe Woods an out. I gave him an out. I said, well, he don't have all his guys, blah, blah, blah. He was like, that don't matter. He got to figure out who he got. He got to play better. And let's be honest, whether you were right or wrong about that at that point, I'll be honest, you were right about that. You got to play better and you got to figure it out. So I'm not giving him that same, out that he don't have his guys. And I'll tell you the truth. Early on, these guys looked awesome. Middle of the game, I was very suspect about what he was called.
Yeah, because he went into, it wasn't a full prevent. It was like a baby prevent.
Yep.
And I hate that because all the prevent does is prevent you from winning. And that's why I had mentioned earlier about how Baker, giving a shout out to him, because when we needed him, man, he had to squat. He had to pretty much stop the bleeding. And he had 3 long drives too that took up some clock. Got a touchdown and 2 field goals. Shout out to Cody Parkey too. We give him grief, so we gotta give him a shout out.
Hey,
when he
Cody
does,
Parkey,
he made all those extra points and made his field goals.
Cody Parkey, thank you for doing your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for making those, because guess what? You know, I know some people will hear me say that and be like, oh, he's still being an asshole. No, listen. When you're one job, like if you're the guy that you're on the field when a technical foul happens in basketball, guess what? You're the best free throw shooter, right? So you got to hit that free throw. That's the whole purpose of you being out there, because you're the best free throw shooter on the field, on the court rather. And now all I got to do is line up and hit this free one free throw. Same thing with Cody Parkey. Dude, I just need you to hit that, especially the ones that they put you in range for. Just hit this thing and let's keep it moving. And now it's all simple for everybody. And ain't no pressure on you at that point. So you only put more pressure on yourself when you miss these field goals. Just like with Baker. Baker only puts more pressure on himself when he misses passes. Or when people drop passes or whatever. You know what I mean? It's a process. The whole thing is a process. The good part is the Browns were able to figure this thing out today.
And really, too, something else to think about too, man. Because of the way that we were scoring, our turnovers and stuff like that, we didn't have a lot of offensive possessions in the first half.
Nope.
So when you look at the stat book,
that's
you may
something to think about too.
Yeah, you may see Chubb only having 18 carries. Well, hell, for the most part, we didn't have the ball. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah. But I thought we used our running game effectively with both him and Kareem. They still had over 130 yards rushing.
Now think about this, Sean. The good part is you haven't heard me say, or you haven't even heard you say, we had issues with what was being called. Now there was a point where the offense went a little stale. Yeah. Just like the defense went a little stale. And I expected it, but I thought it should have been a little more run heavy, but that's what they did. And the defense, adjusted to that. So that's why I started calling for certain things, was because you saw the defense, really start to overplay the run. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, well, if I'm going to see TJ Watt just collapse towards the run, that's a good play fake. Right. Or that's a good little screen. Right. And literally the next drive we threw that screenplay and you saw Chubb in space, something that I've been calling for all year. And if you go back to our show, you'll hear me call for space for Jarvis Landry. You'll hear me call for space for OBJ and for Hunt and for my guy Chubb. When you get these guys in space, it's a different game. So now you put this dude in space. Next thing I know, he catches it and he runs 35 yards for a touchdown for no reason. And that basically iced the game. That iced the game. That was it. That was basically it.
That put us up, 42 to 19 or something like that, or 23.
That was it.
Definitely.
And all I'm saying is, it's not that I'm some smart. It's not that Sean is some smart, we know more than the guy that's getting paid, $2-3 million a year who coaches the team. We're not saying that. One thing that Sean said, and one thing that Corey said too, kind of to back up what Sean said, football is simple. You just got to watch it. And once you start watching it, you can see how to offset certain things.
Right. A lot of coaches overthink. Like a classic example was yesterday during that Buffalo-Indianapolis game. Literally, Indianapolis's coach cost them that football game.
Mm-hmm.
overthinking the situations. One, by not going for a field goal, which would have, I think, would have like put them within 3 at the
That
time.
would have put them
Then
within 3. Yep.
they went for a 2-point conversion when they had no business going for a 2-point conversion at that time of the game. And even though Indianapolis still had a chance to win, it just kept them like behind the 8 ball where they're just climbing up a hill.
Yeah, like now,
Like the whole
like
second half.
you putting pressure on yourself. You're not putting pressure on the other team.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how that plays out, which is what my fear. I know you were saying when you were watching the game that you had this feeling of, do I celebrate? And I did too. I said the same thing. Do I celebrate or do I get nervous? Because you get to a certain point when you're ahead, like.
And you know what? And it wasn't that I didn't want to cheer when they scored a touchdown. I was just locked in. That's how important this game was. Like my whole mental just had me. I was just reserved. I was like, so I ain't gonna say that we shouldn't have been celebrating when we were scoring by no means. I just said me personally, I wasn't, and it wasn't because I was nervous. I was just locked in. Like I wanted this game. You know what I'm saying?
What, I was nervous. So maybe it was just me. And I was nervous from a standpoint of, I know we up 21-0. It's the middle of the first quarter.
Yeah, right.
I can't.
Right, and like I said before, I did have anxiety. I just wanted to make the point that the reason for me not celebrating and yelling and screaming when we were scoring wasn't because I was nervous. I was just locked. You know what I'm saying? I was just locked into the game. Just period. I just was in that particular mode. I was like, this is business. Let's just get this, this win. Like that's how bad I wanted it, man. So it was important not only for the team, it was important for the city, for the psyche of the city.
I just stayed chill.
I get it.
Like in my mind, I was like, nah, I'm just gonna be cool. Like I said, I told my cousin, yo, get off Facebook, man. You can't get on Facebook and start talking crazy. And then these guys start coming back and then we end up losing. Because if we end up losing, you got to take all that on the chin.
Exactly.
It's just a lot to take on the chin. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna stand back. I can't even believe what's happening. Now, of course, early on, very start, I was talking a little bit, but then I was like, wait a minute. We ain't even out the first quarter. I'm cool. And I had a Steeler fan text me and tell me, oh, you guys are, I don't want to hear that. Oh, you guys are, nope. We'll wait. I'm gonna wait. Because we've been here before. We've seen the drive. We've seen the fumble. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
And you know what?
I watched that game
right now. This is going to be like an overreaction, probably over exaggeration. But to me, this win erases those right now.
I think it
because
no, it doesn't. But
to me, well, let me say this: you can't never erase history. But what I mean is, at a certain point in time, just in life, when you have setbacks and you have things that are kind of traumatic, at some point you have to let those go, because if you keep dwelling on that, this like how we go up 28-0 and we're still nervous. That's because we're still traumatized about what's happened in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so are we wrong for that though?
No, but at some point when you're trying to make that next step, as a team, now the Browns as a team, they probably don't even think. I mean, because they didn't go through that as a team.
They ain't go. Yeah, that wasn't their trauma.
They weren't, but that wasn't them.
That ain't their trauma per se.
But even then, you still have to at some point bury it, because I'm tired of dwelling on it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
you don't get tired of it. It's so at some point.
Go ahead,
at some point, you got to just be like, damn that. Forget that. That's over with. And that's 30 years
I
ago.
mean,
We're still
look,
traumatized by it.
I get that, but I'm a fan. I'm not a player. But I also think that there's value in a player giving two shits about that kind of stuff, because you could easily say, and I've heard people say this, and I take it personal though. I've heard people say, "Oh no, that happened before I got here, so that don't matter to me." It should,
No,
because
but
it's
they're
important.
supposed to say that though.
Yeah, listen, man, that's bullshit to me. It's history. It is what happened, and I get it. I understand why you said that, but if I understand why you said that, you know what else I need to understand?
But they
You get
know.
my goddamn history.
No, but they know because Baker even came out last week after the game and he was saying I was watching a montage on the screen with Brian Sipe and Bernie Kosar and he was showing some of the highlights and I understand the history. So
But
so
that's
so
but that's what I'm saying. Like
so they get it,
you
and that's
can't,
why.
but you gotta say that too. You can't act like
Well,
I'm some nutcase or I'm some
no,
weird dude that needs to be off over
no,
there.
I don't think they're saying that the fans are nutcases, but I think like when Baker got here and they were saying, well, you had the stigma of coming into an 0-16 team. He can't be when you're the quarterback and the leader, you can't be like that's what we are. It's like we can't be
Well,
that.
you ain't gotta say that that's what we are. I'm not
You know what
saying
I'm
that
saying?
you
But
gotta just take
they
on a
understood.
moniker. What
That's
I'm
why.
saying is you
But
have
that's
to
why.
embrace some of that. You got to
Right.
at
Well.
least look at that and say to yourself, like, yo, listen, that ain't what we want to continue to be.
Right. And they
Like,
know
even
because
though
look.
you didn't contribute to that, but damn, I don't want to keep being that. So
Right. Well,
let's figure a way to get beyond that. I'm
and
fine
that's
with
why
that.
when they won the first game, that game against the Jets, you could see the relief and the adulation on the team because they
Oh,
they
for
knew
sure.
they knew what that meant. But
When he won
sometimes,
that
but
damn
you
Jets
got
game, I said,
coach speak.
man,
Yeah, you got coach speak, you got player speak. But I think those players know what everything means to the city. Or at least if they didn't, they starting to get it now. Because as much as we want the players to be as invested as we are, a lot of times they're not, depending on the player. A lot of those guys are out there to get a paycheck. You know what I'm
well,
saying?
I
You
mean,
have,
hell, if
but I
you ain't
think
listen,
that
it's crazy how winning changes that
right.
whole perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if you a guy that are, you just I only wanted to, catch this check. I'm a vet. I'm getting the vet minimum here, or they gave me a little bit over the vet minimum because I got this one defensive coach who likes me. But not only did I come here and get a few extra dollars, these cats is actually better than we thought they were going to be. So now you play harder. And that's like winning changes everything. Winning changes how you understand the legacy and the bullshit that has been what the Cleveland Browns are. It changes all of that. So you got to start winning, and we've talked about that. When you hit the damn practice field and you start winning, even if what this guy's saying to you was the dumbest shit you ever heard in your life, once you start winning, the dumbest shit that somebody says to you starts making sense. Because now we're winning. Now it's listen, ain't nobody in that goddamn building that has the label of coach that these guys ain't listening to right now. They're listening to them. They're buying into the whole system, as they should. Why? Because we 11-5, and now with this win today, 12-5. We 12-5. Now, will we win next week? We don't know, and probably not. The point I'm making is the entirety of that team has to believe in the people that they got on that field, and I think that that's what's happening. I see a congruency of these guys believing in these guys. And that's why I was like, I don't know that not having this dude. I told guys this during the week. They were like, oh, I've seen you give the coach so much grief. So why are you concerned about the coach not being? I didn't say I was concerned about the coach. I said I was concerned about Joe Patonio, and I'm more concerned about the players not playing, not about the coaches not coaching. Because if you got the same idea, we can still push the same idea.
Right.
But you just got to get guys that are going to be executional on the field.
Right.
That's where my issue is. Can you get guys that can execute on the field? I don't, and it's not to say that I don't care about Kevin Stefanski not being on the field. It's not that. I'm not saying that. While we don't always agree with how he calls a game, trust me, I understand what the congruency of a coach being there and calling a play a certain kind of way. I know what that means. There's a congruency in that. There's an equivalence that's in that.
Exactly.
So you need to have that. Even if this dude is the worst dude ever, you gotta have it, right? You gotta have it. So it has nothing to do with that, because no matter how great he is in expelling that situation, you still gotta have players that not only play the way that this dude is telling you to play, but execute the exact way that he's telling you to execute. Like, it's a difference. It's a big fucking difference. And sometimes people misunderstand me when I have issues with our coaches. My issues with our coaches aren't what happens upstairs and what happens on the smaller levels and then what happens on the field levels. My issues with our coaches is sometimes there's plays that you leave on the field. The same thing we were talking about, or one of my friends and I were talking about with say Chicago. Same thing we were talking about with one of those other games. You at some point have to make those plays. But that's execution. That's not coaching. If the coach puts it out there, you got to execute it.
Exactly.
And you got to make it happen. So we've been fortunate this year to actually be in a spot where we're, executing in a spot where we can get ourselves to a goddamn divisional playoff game. When's the last time we've been to a divisional playoff game?
1994.
Thank you. We haven't been here in a long time. 1994, I was in Anchorage, Alaska. I remember that. And I remember trying to get away from other people because they thought, oh, you should come. Now, this is back in the day, 94, where you don't have a Fire Stick, or where you don't have YouTube TV, or you don't have what they call that, where you buy the whole NFL, the ticket.
The Sunday ticket.
You don't have no ticket. You gotta hope that they playing that game. And they were playing the game, and I had to wake up. I was in Alaska. I had to wake up at 8:30 to watch a 9 o'clock game. I was 4 hours behind. It was crazy. Because I had to wake up earlier because I needed to make sure I was in there before somebody else got in there to watch the TV.
You got the TV, right?
Yeah. That's so okay. When people tell me I'm some fair weather Browns fan.
No, I don't think anybody ever had the audacity to call me that.
Miss me with that fair weather bullshit.
Right. I had somebody call me a fair weather Cavs fan one time. It was like, you still a Cavs fan when LeBron leave? I was like, man, I've been a Cavs fan since 1981. When we had World Be Free and John Bagley and Phil Hubbard and all those bums back then. I was like, don't insult me.
If we're gonna talk about the Cavs, and we're gonna do that real quick, Sean remembers when I wasn't a Cavs fan because I wasn't always a Cavs fan. I loved Magic Johnson, and I was a super Laker fan back in the day.
Yeah, and I hated it. I hated the Lakers. I couldn't stand it.
I was
And honestly,
super
man, it really ain't too much to talk about the Cavs right now because they pretty much fit in a G League squad with all the injuries that they got right now.
But that don't mean anything for your fandom. So Sean had, when we talk about how people are fans or how our our 216 situation sets up, or how I'm mad at people because they don't want to be Cavs / Indians / Browns fans, because sometimes I get mad at people who don't want to do that. They're like, "Oh, I've never been an Indians fan, so I've always rooted for the." I get irritated anymore in my older age, but I rooted for other teams in my younger age. Sean has never rooted for any teams outside of the land.
Never.
Ever. He hasn't. His favorite teams have always been here in Cleveland: Browns, the Cavs, the Indians. That's it. That's
You
it.
can even throw in our soccer team we had, the Cleveland Force.
Oh, the Force, the Crunch.
The only team, you know what, when the Crunch came around, I really didn't follow soccer that much. But then, once the Force disbanded, I didn't pay attention, and I really haven't paid attention to the Monsters, the minor league hockey team. Other than that, now I've had surrogate teams. I've had teams that I've liked other than the Browns. I should like the Redskins, but I was never going to be like, that's my team. I should like watching them play. I should like watching the Vikings play.
I liked when I was a kid. And I told you this. I liked Danny White. I liked, what Dallas was doing back then. But I also actually liked John Riggins. I like Joe Theismann. I like Joe Montana. So I always like the teams that were doing really good. I loved Lawrence Taylor. So I always had an affinity for certain, guys that did really, really good, which made me like those teams that were winning at that time. Like I was rooting for Chicago back in the day when they won their Super Bowl. I was rooting for them because I was a Walter Payton fan. I wanted to see Walter Payton win a world championship.
And it was foul that Mike Ditka didn't let Walter get.
It was foul as hell that that dude did. He gave the refrigerator a touchdown and not him. Walter. That was crazy. But that's what I mean. Like those types of situations, I just love those spots. I loved watching Lawrence Taylor win a Super Bowl. I love, watching Joe Montana listen, one of the best Super Bowls I ever saw in my life, two best Super Bowls I ever saw in my life was when I watched Cincinnati lose. Best two Super Bowls ever.
That's the ultimate in petty.
Yeah, I can't stand Cincinnati, and I'm so glad that they lost in those two Super Bowls, and then watched a Super Bowl that they probably should have won, and then just watched Joe Montana throw that little slant to John Taylor
that nobody could stop.
Like nobody could stop.
Nobody could stop those slants.
Look, and it was well covered, by the way. It wasn't like he was wide open. It was a well covered play, and guess what? You couldn't stop it. Just what Sean said. Couldn't stop it. And we all knew that you couldn't stop it. We saw it setting up. We was all like, he about to throw this. Now, we all thought, honestly, he was going to throw it to Jerry Rice. But he's like, I got John Taylor on the slot. Boom. Boom. Touchdown.
Yeah, game over. One thing, hey man, before we go too far, we forgot to give our game balls.
Oh, let's give our game balls.
Game. So, and I didn't write anything down. I didn't take no notes. I ain't do anything. But my game balls go to Kendall Lamb, Michael Dunn,
That's a good one.
and what's the other one? The other guy, what's his name? Nance, the one that just showed up today,
Yep.
pretty much on the team bus or a team plane.
Yep.
So because those guys today played a great game, because Baker Mayfield was clean today, no sacks,
Clean as hell.
He had a couple of hurries and maybe got knocked down a couple of times, but for the most part, he had a clean pocket. And normally Pittsburgh harasses Baker Mayfield to no end when he looks confused, but Baker looked confident today. He was tall in the pocket today. And that's a testament to the offensive line. I'm gonna give a game ball to Baker Mayfield. Let me see who else. Really nobody on defense, even though the couple guys made some plays, but as far as my game balls, just to Baker, the offensive line, pretty much. And I'm gonna give another one to the Cleveland Browns organization for getting their first playoff win, and I don't know how long. So shout out to Jimmy Haslam, shout out to Andrew Berry. I'm glad to see Andrew Berry prospering right now.
Yeah.
Not too many black general managers in the NFL. So he's doing an excellent job. So shout out to him putting this thing together. And I think we're on our way, man. You know, it may not be this year, but I think we got all the pieces in place where we're going to be, God forbid, some type of freak injury to somebody or something like that, man. But I think that we got the core players in place, man, and we're going to be a problem in the league.
We're going to be a problem. And we still don't have the players that we need to have. Once we get the players that we need to have, y'all are all in trouble. And listen, this show, it's going to let y'all know. We're going to put y'all on notice.
Exactly.
Once we get those guys, it's going to be ugly. So my game balls today, my first game ball is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield played a great game today, man. He really was very settled. Yeah, he still had that same zip on the ball, but he wasn't behind guys. A lot of the passes that were missed were guys just missing passes. It wasn't him being all over the place. I'll be honest about that. We just saw guys just kind of miss some passes, but Baker had 3 touchdowns, 250 yards. Let me see.
Something like that. I think he was like 20 for 33.
263. Yeah. So that's right about where I expect any numbers for Baker to be. He threw 34 times. I told you I don't really like to see him throw over 30 times, but 30 to 35 times is about my max for him. And he did that. He was right within his window. He threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he actually led his team. So I got no issues with what I saw today. And Baker, that's my guy. They got to extend him. I'm not sure if they're going to extend him just for the option or if they're going to just fully extend him. But it only makes sense. You got a new coach, and now he's in the same offense going forward. It only makes sense. So I'm going to give it to Baker, my first game ball. My second game ball, I'm going to give it to Jarvis, man. Listen, Jarvis was quiet. Jarvis wasn't like all over the place. But that first touchdown that Jarvis got, can I say this? As soon as I saw who he threw that to, and I'm not talking about when I saw him catching and running. Right. I mean, when he threw that ball and I saw where he was throwing it to, I said out loud, that's a touchdown. I said that. And as soon as he caught that ball, it was like lightning in the bottom. This is what I was saying during our, our midweek show. And this is what I've been saying about Jarvis and OBJ over the course of the season. These guys are spatial guys. You got to get these guys in space. It's not about making them just run a route and trying to beat a guy off the. Sometimes it's just about being smart, putting these guys in a spot that nobody can stop them in. And this is what I'm talking about. These two guys, when people tell me, oh, he can't play with OBJ, that's bullshit. If you can't play with two guys that can get into space whenever they want to and score touchdowns whenever they want, I don't know anything about that. So Jarvis had almost 100 yards today, 5 catches, and he was Jarvis Landry today. Every time I saw him get up off the pile, he was spinning the ball. Every time I saw him make a catch, spinning the ball. Every time I saw him engage with somebody, he was pushing them dudes off of him. That's the dude that we draft, or not drafted, but that's the dude we traded for. We need that energy and we need that attitude. And he was a monster today. So thank you, Jarvis Landry. And then MJ Stewart gets my third ball. MJ Stewart had 9 tackles, an interception. He was all over the place. Yeah, he got beat a couple times today. But you know what? He's a backup. He ain't even supposed to be in those spots. That should never be what he's doing. That should never be what we expect for him to do. So for him to show up today and play as hard and as tough as he played, getting the pick, that was a crucial pick. And we've been saying that. Sean has been a leader in our defense, making plays and doing things that, we haven't normally done. One of the things that makes our defense not so great is that we get these opportunities and we drop them. You can't be an elite defense, and you can't be even an almost good defense unless you cover those fumbles or strip the ball or make those interceptions.
Right.
Sean has actually been saying that all season because our defense was actually doing that early, and I don't know if it made Sean feel like this, but Sean has been saying this all season long. The one thing I've said about our players, the players that we talk about or give grief to or whatever, I'm also the same way with us on the show. When Sean points something out, I'm going to pay attention. Sean said this weeks ago, months ago. Today, these guys actually showed up, made every interception, almost made every tip ball that they should have, because remember in the in our midweek show, I told you guys, Ben gets rid of the ball too quick. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get to him.
Right.
So they're going to have to put their hands up. These guys got their hands up, and then these guys also made the interceptions. So it's kind of twofold. I was right. Sean was right too. Every single time that you get the opportunity to get your hands on the ball, you got to make that play. And this is what makes us relevant, folks. Because we don't miss these things. We don't miss these things. We kind of get it.
That's why you should always tune in and get good analysis, fair and unbiased analysis at that. We're going to tell it straight. We're going to tell it like it is, no matter what. So if that's what you want, come check us out. If you don't want that,
come check us out.
If you
John,
want some bubblegum cupcake.
Look, Sean looked like a big teddy bear, but this dude is a plethora of information when it comes to football.
A plethora.
He is, and
big words.
He's hardcore when it comes to being hardcore. So y'all can think he's a big teddy bear, but this dude is incredible, and he checks me on my stuff. And anybody who knows me, you know how hard it is to check me on anything. Like, I feel like I got to come to the table correctly when Sean is involved. Because if I don't, Sean going to light me up. He's not going to even let me talk crazy because he knows that I ain't ready. So that's how this dynamic goes most of the time. And listen, I keep looking in the back of this thing, and I keep seeing Ben Roethlisberger, and it just keeps making me smile. I keep smiling because I keep seeing Ben Roethlisberger back there crying. This is the best night that I've had in a long time. I was getting ready to say the best night of my life. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. But it's a
You don't
great
say that
night.
because you do want to have a home, right? You want to have
Listen,
a nice warm bed to sleep in every night. So you better.
I have been married. I have been married before, so I'm never gonna say this is the best night of my life. This is the greatest night of my Browns fan existence, though. Like I can't remember a time I felt this ecstatic about the Browns, bro. Like I'm just in a spot where I'm like, what did my man say? I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do. I still don't know what to do with myself.
Right.
We were gonna go into this whole, we're gonna break the whole game down. We can't. We
No,
can't.
and plus, and what time is it, man? It's probably almost about 2:30 in the morning.
It's 2:00.
Yeah, it's 2:00.
It's 2:00.
So
So we've been doing this for an hour and a half already. We almost can't even.
we did break the game down, though. We broke it down enough.
But we know we didn't do it specifically like we thought. But yeah, we broke the game down. I guess you.
I think everybody got an idea. If anybody who didn't see the game, I think they got a fair idea
Listen,
of how
there
the
was
game
nothing to
went.
talk about. The first half was over with in like the first 4 minutes. We was
Literally
already up 21-0.
28-0.
So what do you do from that point? So
Right.
it's all downhill from there. Let's be
Exactly.
honest. It was
Well,
all
look,
downhill from there.
because we got another long night tomorrow night because
So
Ohio
yeah,
State University
listen, Ohio
is
State
taking
gonna
on
win that
Alabama
game tomorrow.
Crimson Tide.
And we're gonna
So
beat their ass tomorrow. I'm telling y'all.
I think we are too.
This has been one of those weird weekends where I'm like, you know what? It's us. And I think this is us again. I think the Browns, I thought the Browns were gonna win. We both picked the Browns to win. And now here we are going into Ohio State. I think Ohio State's gonna win too. So we'll find out tomorrow. We're gonna take you guys out tomorrow. Not for no long time. Damn sure not for as long as we kind of touched in with you guys tonight. We're gonna go ahead and try to get out of here.
Yeah, I gotta get up early in the morning in America. I gotta
we
be
just
up
gotta
around.
ask and pray that everybody is safe. Let's stay away from the COVID. Let's be careful in terms of our driving. Sean, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here.
Definitely.
Grateful for you, bro, for allowing us to, take up your time because you could be asleep already, but here we are talking crazy and going off.
I'm about to do it immediately as soon as we sign off. I'm gonna get in this damn bed.
Look, going off on random tangents just cause. But you know what?
How excited! That's how excited we are, man. It's gonna be a great
We're so listen,
victory
man,
Monday.
I literally I don't know what to do with my hands. You see my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands. My hands are all over the place.
All right, so people, you can check us out on Facebook at two guys on the mic 216, Instagram 2 guys on the mic 216, all streaming platforms at 2 guys and the mic. That's Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, Anchor, and Spotify. So we're going to sign off tonight. Go Buckeyes tomorrow. Go ahead and just make this whole and technically it ain't the weekend tomorrow. We'll just make this sports weekend complete.
Yeah, well, it's finished.
And beat up on Alabama.
As one of my favorite games would say, Mortal Kombat, finish it.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it says finish him, but I'm saying finish it.
Exactly.
This is it.
And shout out to I just got Mortal Kombat 11, so I'm gonna crack that boy open this week.
Listen, my son don't know this, but he already got it at my mom's house. We just weren't able to have our Christmas because of COVID.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, listen.
Sounds good. Well, people, we're gonna bid you adieu.
Bid you guys adieu. Thank you, Sean.
Good night.
Have a very good night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Real quick. We're not going to do a long show. If we lose tomorrow, if Ohio State loses tomorrow, we might just see y'all on Wednesday.
Exactly. All right. Peace out.
Peace, man. Love y'all. Love you, bro.